How many of you have had a nightmare that you can remember? Right? Everybody's pretty much had a nightmare. Well, what I want to talk about is the difference between a nightmare and a night terror. According to WebMD, there are two phases of sleep. There's REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement, and then there's non-REM sleep. In non-REM sleep, there are 4 different transitions, and with a nightmare, it happens during the REM part of sleep, and with a night terror, it happens during the non-REM part of sleep, during the 3rd and 4th transition. And this usually occurs about 30 minutes after the child falls asleep. They're distinguished by recurrent episodes of intense crying. Usually they're visibly shaking. They're sitting up in bed. They appear to be awake. Their heart rates increase. The respiratory rates increase. It usually lasts anywhere from 2 to 30 minutes. According to the Night Terror Resource Center, 3 to 6 children have night terrors, and the age group is usually between 4 and 12, although they have been reported in children that are 18 months. Also, night terrors can be misdiagnosed, and this was the case with my son Garrett. He was 6 months old, and he would wake up just screaming and crying. I figured he was in pain. I thought, what's wrong with him? And I would go to him and try to console him, and there wasn't anything that I could do that would keep him from crying. He would eventually stop maybe 20 minutes later and go back to sleep. And I just figured he's got to be in pain. And I took him to the pediatrician, and they checked him over and said, no, he's fine. We think maybe he's teething. So they give me acetaminophen with codeine to give him every night before he goes to bed. And I think, I don't want to give him codeine every night before he goes to bed. He's 6 months old. But I did, and it really didn't help. He still continued to have these horrible screaming fits every single night almost. And that's when I started to do some research about it, and I realized that I figured this is what he's having. He's having these night terrors. And so I went back to the pediatrician, and I described to her what I felt like was going on, and she said it could be, definitely could be. The only problem is that there isn't a whole lot of medical treatment that can be done. You just kind of have to help them through it. You have to talk softly. You don't ever want to try to wake them up. Just speak softly. You can refrain them from trying to get up, because a lot of times these guys will sleepwalk. You can do another thing to do is to make sure that the room is safe, so that way if they do get up in the middle of the night, they're not falling over anything and injuring themselves. Another thing that I tried was, they say to monitor when they have the night terror, and then when they go to sleep the next night, wake them up 15 minutes before it's supposed to happen. And I did that, and it did work sometimes, but I kind of gave up on that because I was going to keep waking him up every night. Whether he was going to have a night terror or not, I felt that it wasn't. The night terrors aren't hurting him, so. And the good thing is that they don't remember. Once they've had a night terror, they don't even remember it the next day. They have no recollection at all. So, the Night Terror Resource Center says that you should seek medical care if the child is under 3 and having more than 1 or 2 a week. And Garrett was having them almost every night. So it was good that I did seek the medical treatment. In an older child, they say 1 to 2 episodes per month. Well, Garrett is 8, and he's still having night terrors. They're not as severe as they used to be. He kind of just gets up out of bed. He'll walk around the house. He's usually crying, but he doesn't respond, and that's how I know he's having a night terror. And I just let him walk around, and then he gets back in bed, and then he's done. That is pretty much about all you can do for treatment. In conclusion, I've talked about when they occur and how many kids that they can occur in, and that there's not much medical treatment. Hopefully, if you are ever put into the situation where you're having to deal with somebody having a night terror, that it'll be less frightening for you, and it'll be easier to understand and know how to respond. Thanks.